Hello, welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwan Jabela, hosting this show tonight, where former Minister Kazenambo Kazenambo is engaging us in a rather explosive interview that you may not want to miss. See you after this break. So good evening. Tonight we are welcoming back former Minister Kazenambo Kazenambo to the show to talk to us about some of the topical issues in the country. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me here once more.
Yes. So on Friday you were in the papers. You were expressing your views about how your party, SWAPO, is handling the debate around reconciliation that is now a heated topic in the National Assembly. What are your issues with the way the matters are being handled?
Thank you very much for bringing me here. The way the things are being handled in Parliament as an institution has got nothing to do with SWAPO as a party. That one must be underlined, and I will repeat that and emphasize: Parliament is not constituted by SWAPO alone. We are not under a dictator here. We have got elected representatives who are elected to an institution of state. Therefore, the handling of matters there, they should either be analyzed from an organizational behavior point of view, of handling groups, and more so diverse groups, and more so politically diverse group, of diverse views, of diverse background, we have gone through different situations. So that should be noted. Let's separate SWAPO, the party, from its representative, from from the institution of power, or the institution of state. The institution of state, to answer your question, nobody should be blamed here, because Parliament is constituted of various political parties, represented by various representatives of different behavior, characters, and so on. Now, when it comes to the organization behavior of any institution, it can be a hospital, it can be your institution here. The environment will be guided by the blueprints, by the rules and procedures of these institutions, and the ethics and so on. It is not also, the National Assembly is not spared of that. So to answer you further, let me tell you that when you deal with groups, I will quote Bruce Tuckman. When he deals with groups, he has got five-stage model of group management, if you want. One factor under this, one stage under this stage is stage one is its orientation, which we call it forming. That's the group are coming together, And based on the environment and the institutional procedures, they are going to form whatever opinion, and it is applied in companies and so on. But I'll borrow it to analyze or to diagnose what is happening at the National Assembly at the moment. Stage one is called orientation, which is forming. Stage two is storming. It's storming, and the storming one, which is called power struggle. Power struggle, which is forming, is the one where we are. And where we are, we have got diverse groups of diverse view. Some of them have got personal issues. Some of them, it's a power struggle. And power struggle, it's where disputes arise. Conflicts are automatic under stage two. And the stage two can be managed by maturity, by self-respect, and respecting one another. If we are political parties, we know very well that we are coming from different ideological backgrounds, and we represent diverse interests. These people are elected. SWAPO representatives are elected. Other parties' representatives are elected through due processes of law. Both parties should mature enough to know that they are representing their own representative. There is no monopoly here. There is no monopoly of arrogance. There is no monopoly of insults. There is no monopoly of what? The rules of the House, the rules of the National Assembly must prevail.
Must prevail.
Must prevail. And what is lacking at the moment is that I don't know whether the committees have been constituted, necessary committees of parliament, be it from the ruling party itself, or the SWAPO, my party, or be it from the opposition parties, or alternative parties as they call themselves, whatever the name they choose to call themselves, it's not up to me. We must be guided by the procedures of the House. The procedures of the House must be known, must guide us, they must be applied fairly, and so on. And then individuals with their own individual characters and manners can be contained within the policy, and there is, like I'm saying, there is no monopoly here, because everybody is representing whoever is representing. Let's when we discuss issues, let's go to issues, and going to issues, it's where we'll go to the third stage of Bruce Tuckman's model. It is called norming. Norming, then when we are at that stage, it means that now you are dealing with real issues, because you have overcome your differences. Maybe you don't know one another, you are coming from different background, your agendas are the same, but to reach consensus, to try to reach consensus and address issues, that's the bottom line. Elected representatives are not elected there to go and display their arrogancy, to go and display their incompetence, to go and display their whatever agenda. No, they are there to address issues. And at the norming stage of Bruce Tuckman's model, it's when now we address issues of unemployment, issues of abortion, issue of reconciliation, like the one you brought me here for, and so on. And when we are going to these issues, we go into details. Accusations, they don't become personal, and so on, and there is no intimidation, and so on, because we have surpassed the storming stage. And if we recognize one another, that we come from different backgrounds. Above all, we have been elected through a due process. If there is respect, mutual respect, then everything will go smooth. We will deal with the norming stage. And the fourth stage, the fourth stage of the Brookman model, which can be applied there, is performance. Now you are performing. Various committees are performing, various issues are addressed. After at the norming stage, we have grilled one another on issues, not personalities. Who cares about your personality? Whether you are so what, you are beautiful or handsome, maybe who cares about your beauty? We are not there for a beauty context. We are there for issues. So at the norming at the performing stage, then we know if we have tackled the issue of abortion and we have now gathered various views, both those who are for pro-choice and those who are for pro-life. We have discussed technically these issues while we are differing. And then we are attempting now to reach consensus. If the House cannot reach consensus, because we are coming from a stage of norming and forming and so on, Parliament and institutions have got various technical people, lawyers, legal advisors. You will refer these matters to committees, and if necessary, you hold public hearing. That's how governance is supposed to be. It's not a show of that I'm killing emotion or kill emotion. What are you killing?
What is the final model of the Tuckman?
The final model, the fifth one of the Bruce Tuckman's model of group management and group development, it's a conclusion. It's called conclusion. You have closure and adjournment.
Yes.
And then at that stage, exactly, if the issues that we are dealing with in Parliament need technical input, some of them maybe you are debating on the media. Media, it's a very, very complex institution and not being dealt by every Jack and Jill. Simply because you have been elected to go to Parliament. It needs inputs from experts and so on. Abortion need to, you don't bring and impose your values and your views on others without being subjected to scientific tests. At the adjournment, after you have debated these issues, then, which is the first stage of the model, the fifth stage of the model, then you can bring in experts. And then experts, you are guided by experts, and then the public, because you are there to represent the public, they can also have input. Now, that's how I think that we're supposed to handle this issue, and that's how we used to handle them. When you guys used to call me controversial and so on, I was not controversial displaying my arrogance or insulting anybody, but I was addressing issues. So let us be issue driven rather than being personal, and let's have respect to one another. Whether you are beauty or you are hungry or you are tall or you are short, it's none of my business. My business, I've been elected to come and address my people's interest. So that there is nobody who is a monopoly, or in a democracy we need to respect one another to share the political space.
That's it. But in the media on Friday, you were quoted also having issues with the way the party itself is handling the debate of reconciliation. You seem to suggest that there is no that the party is blocking. In fact, the general impression is that SWAPO is blocking this conversation. What is the? And you were saying, for as long as this subject is not discussed thoroughly, it will continue to be in our midst. What is the best way to do it?
The best way is not the best way in dealing with any conflict or dispute. It is not one group to try to suppress the dispute. Open up. Open up, hear various views, debate the views, put your story on the table. What are you hiding? Put your story on the table, let's debate the story, and let's reach consensus. If we need be, the issue need to be debated. Sweeping the issues under the carpet is the most cowardice thing are you not having the brain? What is the problem? What are you hiding? Bring your story to the table. Let's argue facts. Facts are there. Let's argue facts. So why should we be? SWAPO was not the only party in the war here. We were various parties, worrying parties. If we are discussing the situation, let's discuss the situation where we have gone wrong as a party. Let's account. Accounting, you cannot decide how do you account before you reach there. If you say that, no, pay me because I saw you in the bar. What were the conditions that I saw you in the bar? Who started what, and how do I pay you, under what? So if we are exempted, we are saying that we are exempted by the proclamation. So what's the problem then? The proclamation is there, we are aware of it. Then let's say the proclamation says this, and then let's debate fact by fact. And so on. Because I was in SWAPO, I was in exile, I never killed anybody. Why should I be lumps? What do I fear? I never killed anybody. I never killed any SWAPO member. I never arrested anybody. I was just at war. And war situations are there. How matters of war are handled.
But tell me, when you are calling it suppression of views from the opposition benches, but SWAPO seems to suggest that the motion by SWANU President Kazenambo is biased, because he only seeks recourse for former Kufut and SWATUF members as well as the survivors of the dungeons, Lubango dungeons. SWAPO obviously has a right to say, but broaden the scope, because we're not going to discuss only these two groups as if they were the only ones affected by war. Is that not a fair point to make?
It's a fair point, and that's why I'm saying that in this country we don't, in many cases we don't discuss issue on context. We always run into our corners, and running into our caves doesn't solve any problem. In fact, it's called what? Don't live in a Plato's cave. Yeah, we call it a Plato's cave. You know your world and you hide your world. Come on, the war was not constituted of one law of Kufuts and SWAT-TF. I was a planned combatant, I was fighting. So there were two groups to the what. So and I will agree with them if Swano is stuck only to the issue of SWAT-TF and Kufut. Therefore, why do you want SWAPO to get involved? If you are saying that no, let's discuss the issue of the war, how it affects us and how people continue feels, you are broadening it. But definitely if you are confining it to Kufut and SWAT-TF, then it doesn't include plan. Therefore, it's not our issue. I will either choose to listen what you are saying, I will not kill what you are saying in a democracy. And then the issue has got nothing to do with us. Dealing with it is dealing with Kufut and SWAT-TF. So what are you expecting from SWAPO? Or if SWAPO, it's broadening the view. But if you are talking about the aggressiveness of everything and how people were affected and so on, and so that's what I'm saying. Let's listen to what people to listen to one another. Let's discuss facts surrounding this issue. And what are we talking about? If we are talking about compensation, because I hear a lot of talks on that subject matter, some of the points that are being said is that Kufuts are saying that the South African money which was paid,
the 6 million.
The 6 million. And I benefited from that money as a planned combatant. I got it there at the base there. If that is the money that they are demanding, let's talk about that money. What are we hiding? I got that money. Why should I lie about it? And if they want a refund of that money, because that money was meant for them apparently, then let's debate that. South Africa is here. They must come. Let's go to the books. Accountants are here. The auditors are here. How was this money dispersed? Was it meant for them and then diverted to everybody? Or maybe we illegally got the money? Then let's that be discussed. If it's a conversation that was about the act that was enacted for veterans, the act is there. We debated it. The background, we know it. What are we hiding here? Let's discuss the background. We are not dispersing this money as a sort of criminality. There were motivations. Research was done across the country. We sent groups to various countries, former countries like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and so on, that are doing the same. Let's get the term of reference, and now this money is the public to know. What are we hiding? And then let's see what is the context here of this motion. So now, to say that we are killing the thing or jumping around and saying this and facts are there, let's intellectually debate this issue. Let's open up rather than killing up. By the word, issue is sensitive. What is not sensitive and what is sensitive? What is not sensitive and what is sensitive? Let's debate and see the sensitivity of the matter and squeeze the sensitivity out of it.
Indeed. Now, reconciliation, just as a former war veteran, as a war veteran yourself, having been to war, having been driven out of your country because of the conditions that prevailed at the time, what did you understand when Sam Nujoma, I think in 1990 or around about that time, when he declared a policy of national reconciliation? What, from your vantage point, was that meant to? What was your impression of that? What is your definition of that?
There we go again. We are bringing the old men in this. And which really I don't like. It doesn't make any relevance. It doesn't any relevance, to be honest.
The policy
the policy is there.
Whether
Njoma's name is there or whether Njoma is there. Let's concentrate on the policy. Let's digest and dissect my understanding of the policy. Because anyway, I kept asking, even when I was in Parliament, people refer to this policy of reconciliation. And again, let me put it in context, Toivo. The policy of reconciliation may be there rhetorically as a white paper which is there, which does not translate to the real practice on the ground. We like to sing slogans. inclusivity, blah, blah, blah. But when you really, there is no discrimination, tribalism, but those who are singing tribalism, they are the worst tribalists. In fact, they are covering their evil to advance it. So the policy of reconciliation, to my take, is that we arrived here. And definitely we need to reconcile. Yes. Because we were fighting. People, brothers from the same house, brothers from the same sisters. We were oriented in a way. We're in a war here. We killed one another. We sweared at one another. We did what? So it was automatic and natural. And it was common sense, and it's still common sense for us to reconcile. Yes. But we can reconcile when we really, going to church and praying while you have got a knife in the pocket and you are looking for somebody to knife. Your faith means nothing. Yeah. While you go to church and pray, but you are praying on people's money with falsehood, it doesn't amount to anything. When we are talking to reconciliation, who has reconciled with who? It doesn't matter when people are saying that, no, we are being discriminated on a ground of our race. Then you bring in reconciliation. To hell with reconciliation. What reconciliation? You are a racist. When people are saying that, no, there is tribalism, you are discriminating me as Ndonga, you as a Kwanyama, or you are discriminating me as a Banderu, you as a Herero. Then you jump and say that there is reconciliation. To hell with reconciliation. What reconciliation? You are a damn tribalist. You are just a tribalist. Let's address contemporary issues and put them in context. What reconciliation? We cannot hide reconciliation. When some people are living in remote areas, this also will take me to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you want to. Because, we must put these things into context. When we are talking about the macro, the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which at its bottom there, it's physiological matters. Needs like water, food, blah, blah, those things. And then the second thing is safety and security. And when people are grappling with this issue, and then when they are saying that in our area there is no roads, in our area there is no electricity, in our area there is no tarred bitumen roads or tar road, in our area there is no schools, in our areas, and then you preach reconciliation. What nonsensical statement is that? Who is reconciling with who? When people are asking that, no, in our area, or we as a community, we have not benefited from the minerals of this country. We have not benefited from the fish quotas. Then you tell them that, no, you are a troublemaker. You are a troublemaker. You are throwing stone in the Namibian house. Whose Namibian house? It's your Namibian house. It's not my Namibian house. So let's put these things into context. Reconciliation must be put in context. What are you reconciling? Who are you reconciling? And you must evaluate it constantly. How your reconciliation is truly meaning. Now, what reconciliation? If you go into the banks here, in this country, you'll find one group of people, either who look the same, either who speak the same language. If you go into government institutions, one day, a Kwandi lady, when I was still in the leadership, she confronted me to say that Kazenambo, she knows me from exile. I don't want to name here. She said, yeah, you are a useless member of the Politburo, a member of the Central Committee. Because she knows me, she's close to me. And then so what do you mean? Yeah, can you tell me, Kazenambo, if you employ a Kwanyama in Kwambi area to be a cleaner, Shakati, do you think that Kwambis don't know how to clean? Or what message? And what reconciliation is that? What reconciliation? If you take cleaners and employ them in Zambezi for no cost, and you don't explain why there is that. If you take Zambezians, Lozi speaking, Mbukushu speaking, and you deploy them at the borders, at Beitepos, where there is no people who speak that language, and to make matters worse, You deploy a person who cannot communicate in English. She cannot communicate in Afrikaans. She cannot communicate in Oshiherero. And she cannot communicate in Tswana. She cannot communicate in Damara. But the people who uses that border, majority of them, speak Oshiherero. Yeah. Speak Tswana. What service as a government are you giving? And who are you reconciling? Your contemporary way of doing things is not reconciling. Yeah. It's causing conflict. The way we are managing things here, we are heading to conflict. And when people say that, no, let's discuss better an issue, how these issues are impacting on people on daily basis, their services. Yeah. Yeah? Their services. If you deploy a Herero person at a clinic in Engela and you don't have a translator there, comrade, what service are you giving? Let's face it, what service are you giving? You are deploying a Herero person who doesn't understand even a single word of Oshukanyama in Engela.
I hear you. I hear you. Let me ask you.
What service? Can you evaluate that service? And then when people are talking, you say they are tribalist. Yeah. Let's go to the governance, my friend. There are people in this country who are, and majority of them, for that matter, they are at the bottom. They are at the bottom scale of the pyramid, of Maslow's pyramid. So let's start government and address issue and get to issue and forget about power struggle. We are ever at power struggle and maneuvering with power nonsense.
I hear you. I hear you. Now, so against that background, because you seem to paint a picture of frustration among a lot of people, and that frustration is perhaps what we have seen boiling up now in Parliament. What did you make of those outbursts around this subject that led last week to LPM leaders being chucked out of Parliament, 2 other MPs, strangling each other? Is that sort of the tipping point now to say that is where we are now?
We are at the tipping point, and this has been coming. Some of us, we have been talking about this thing. Maybe controversial or stubborn or unruly, whatever you call me, but discipline at the end of the day. And that's why I'm saying that we must appreciate our background. Comrade, the system of governing a diverse nation like Namibia, culturally, politically, socially, economically, we are not of the same background, and we are not living the same situation even at the moment. Some of us are using flush toilets. Some people are helping themselves when in the bush when nature calls. Not that they like that, but that's the reality of the situation. Yes. So when we talk to people, we must understand their background. Yeah. And we must try to reach consensus and unite these people. Solutions are hard to get, but we must be open-minded to listen to different things that we don't want to hear, to see where the people are coming from, at what angle. We must provide counsel rather than intimidation. So what is transforming, and we have reached a turning point in many ways, where even if you try to blame one person, it will not help. It's the system itself. It's the system itself exploding, saying that no. The system is saying no. We have reached enough. If you come to a person and tell him a lie that you have told him, when you repeat a promise and you don't deliver on it, a person take that promise as a lie. Yes. Even if it doesn't tell you that you are lying. Because this promise that I will deliver this and deliver this and deliver, man, get on, roll your sleeves, face the truth. Tell the person that no, I'm failing to deliver on this because of ABCC, ACD, beyond that person is a mature enough person. It's an adult like you. Don't think that when you're in a position of power, then that person is not intelligent like you. We insult people's intelligence almost every day. When people are making a sound box to say that, and some of us we have been a sound box for quite some time, and we have paid a high price for that matter. And that's the cost of it. If you are in politics, you must be prepared. If you are pursuing a politics of conviction and a politics of issue, which is not a politics of convenience and the belly, you must be prepared to face the music and pay the price. So the price is, what you are seeing here is just simple. Let us stop governance and dealing with issues of national unity or issues of that involve human being. You cannot have a one size fit all.
Yes.
It is not a jersey that you can put on your child and put on your body and put on your sister. It's not a jersey. People are coming from different background.
Yes.
Some of them through war, generational war, not a single war for that matter. And some of them, they have gone through different experience. You may think that you may take their respect for granted, but they will judge you, they are benchmarking, and they are comparing your statements, your care to previous cares. And if your care and behavior is identical to what either their grandparents or themselves or their parents have gone through, you will see what you are seeing now.
I hear you. Now, one of the issues also that you raised, especially in the story that ran in Namibian Sun on Friday, is people supposedly using this. I know that you mentioned earlier that we shouldn't use Sam Nujoma's name, but I think there's context why we should discuss this now. That you feel that there are MPs that are SWAPO MPs that are using Sam Nujoma, and I saw a very interesting editorial in the Windhoek Observer that also suggests, echoes your views that people are using Nujoma's name and then hide behind Nujoma's name. Well, then when the likes of LPM and others shoot back, they're actually shooting into Nujoma, and while these people are hiding behind him. But surely Nujoma is a statesman that he is, with his history and everything. There's nothing wrong with borrowing a quote or two to amplify your debate.
Correct. Correct and wrong at the same time. Correct in the sense that it depends on the context. You are using the quote. It depends on the context. You are using the quote. If like your question, the way you have framed it now, the context you are putting it, it's a probing context which need to be treated and answered in a civil manner that you are answering it. My friend, I'm from SWAPO. And also, even apart from being SWAPO, let's face it, we are human beings. We come from families. Let's put Nujoma aside for a minute. Even in family settings, there are kids who use their parents' name to suppress others. There are kids either because of their close relation to their parents, for one reason or the other, they lie. They tell lies. They use our father said this, our mother said this. Nonsense. It's a lie. And when you prove further, you find that the father even is not aware of it. It's his name being used. We have seen this, and I'm coming from SWAPO. I saw Nujoma's name being used.
Abused, basically.
Abused. Either for people to steal, to use it to advance there are people who lost tenders. Tatekulu said. When we were in SWAPO Youth League, and I'll not display watch SWAPO things here and learning here, but I'm discussing it in context. There were people who used to lie. And at one time, we had Tongwendiva. Some people lied there and they said, wait a minute, the old man is just here at Okao, luckily. Let's fly and see him. We drove and see him and saw it, only to find out this president was not even aware and so on. And I'm telling you, I'll not go further here. So I know this lie of using Nujoma's name, of people committing their evils in the name of Nujoma. So if Nujoma's name is used. We refer to Churchill. There is no way we'll stop to refer to Sam Nujoma. We will refer to Sam Nujoma when we are talking contextually. He was a leader of plan. He was a commander-in-chief. He was the president of SWAPO, of SWAPO in Namibia for 15 years. There is no way. But people should not use Nujoma to advance their weakness. If you are weak on debate, it depends on how you quote Nujoma and in what context. But if you want to, you know, when I talked about prostitution, legalization of prostitution here, one person was saying, was telling me in a radio debate that even Founding President Sam Nujoma said, so what? Yeah. What has got Nujoma has to do with prostitution and debate about brothels and the legalization? I said, so what? And I still say, so what? Exactly. Because it depends on how are you using Nujoma's context. The old man is retiring there at Tunda. Why should we abuse his name when we are at the storming stage? Let's constitute parliament committee. Let's chip whip stocks. Even SWAPO committees now they are not constituted. And it's an anomaly.
Indeed. The last question, Mr. Kazenambo, is in this whole debate, one of the issues, of course, we spoke about Kufut, but I alluded to the issue of the Lubango dungeons, which is a recurring issue. It's not going away. And I suppose it speaks to exactly what you're saying, that for as long as we continue to be elusive around this subject, it will go on. But I just want to understand, I don't want to comment necessarily on the strategy that SWAPO used to sort of get confessions out of these so-called spies. But the narrative that is painted most of the time lately is to sort of suggest that that none of these people were ever spies. They ought to have been spies. Every war has spies. SWAPO must have had its own spies also spying on its enemies. So it's not entirely correct that everybody that was arrested, again, I'm not talking about how they were treated in the dungeons, but to paint a picture that all of them were just innocently arrested, that can't be correct. You were in the war. You must have seen some of them.
I've never seen a spy, and I've never seen a spy.
Yeah, you saw it. You just didn't.
I have never. Let me put my thing in context. I have never seen a spy.
Yeah,
and also, I cannot account for spies to say that they were spies or not. There were colleagues who were trained to detect that. There were colleagues who were trained to detect, to use mechanisms, to use whatever training they had or what. But the point that I will underline, that I will agree with you, there is no war that it doesn't have spies. Even SWAPO was having spies here who were spying, reconnoitering the enemy movements and so on, and who was who and so on. Sometimes misled and taken certain action. The same could have taken place. So those who were spies, to say that, prove that I was a spy, it's a tall order, and it depends on context. But it's something that needs to be technically debated or discussed. But to say that, no, this issue is closed, or so on and so forth. Because also, you see, for example, here we are. A clear example that I'm giving. Oshikoto recently, there was a contestation there. People are even talking about punya that about you punya to give it to Itula. So and who was Itula? And so, how do we know that is truly some people were under the heat of moments, or under the fear? Whether these stories are true, whether people were supporting Itula, and if it was supporting Itula is a crime, how was it a crime, and who bought who and who didn't vote who? These are talks. But the people were there who supported Itula, definitely. How they agree, but it's just in this country. If you can ask everybody, white people especially, for example, if whether they were associated with apartheid and so on, they will say that you are a racist. But apartheid was supported by people here. So the issue of spy in SWAPO was there. Whether those people who were arrested, they were spy or they were not spy, I am not in a position to, I'm not technically trained, I am not technically to know, But to suppress the issue, to say that let's push it under the carpet, let's hear out what is the cause here.
Indeed.
What are these people saying? Are they talking about the arrest? Are they talking some people who implicated them? Yeah. How were the circumstances these people were arrested? Maybe those are the issues that they are talking. Yeah. And if they are demanding payment, from who are they demanding payment? Are they really demanding payment? But the problem here in this country, and there is no way we are going to govern this country further. We will have bodies also frustrated. Some of them are frustrated because food rot in the magazine or in the warehouse, and government is being blamed for that. Some clinics have got no cars because cars have broken and they were not being reported and so on, and government just jump and defend. What are you defending? Yeah. Go to the cases and hear what are the problems. So really, all I'm saying is that, why are we not hearing, man, in listening in business administration and management, we are taught one thing that we are taught about listening is that you either just listening for the sake of listening, either you are listening to the interferences, or you are listening with empathy. Yeah. To listening with empathy, it doesn't mean that I'm agreeing to you. Yeah. So it's to hear you out, for you to state your case for me, and then to say that, colleague, out of this, what you are saying, I will deal with you, Corona. My apology if I have got Corona, because I'm dropping. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So, if I don't think that is an effective way of governance, to close everything up and to label people and to accuse people when they are raising issues. Yeah. Let's hear issues. Let's hear them out. Let's hear their suggestion in whatever issue it comes. There is no issue that has got no solution. Indeed. But to try to call names and label people reactionary is not a solution. It's just nonsense. You are failing to think. Yeah. You are failing to be honest. And you are carrying the burden, which is not yours.
Indeed. Kazenambo, thank you very much for coming through again.
I
appreciate it. Cool. That was vintage Kazenambo as we know him, and again giving us interesting insights on those issues that we just discussed. So before I let you go, tomorrow's paper, Namibian Sun, if you want to know how much is Bernard Essa worth, it was revealed in the courts today, so grab your copy tomorrow and see how much the former Minister of Fisheries is worth. Let's go for the weather, and good night.